Hello, folks. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and we're going to be looking at more UFOs tonight. Governments and people hiding the evidence of them. But while we wait for people to gather in the chat, let me go off and get some artwork off for my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs. Government. All right. All right, yeah. Let me go over here to share screen. And here we go. Here's my extreme 90s cover. This cover I did to hide to show you the characters in my graphic novel, Scumdogs. This cover pretty much has all the characters in my graphic novel. It is the Scumdogs fighting their arch enemies in the Space Forces. Let's see. Buick has two two main characters, Buick Starpoon and Death Mug and Buick Starpoon. Fighting each other on here. Now, Scumdogs, the name of my graphic novel, is a parody book. I parody the cartoons we all know and love from the 80s and 90s. Now, Death Mug, the leader of the Scumdogs, he's the purple guy with the male mask. He's a parody of various villains from 80s cartoons. Well, him and his team, the Scumdogs. He's the leader of the Scumdogs, and the Scumdogs are basically villains out to take over the universe. See, they used to be professional pro athletes in the Scumdog sporting events held with superhuman monsters as the pro athletes. See, they're called Scumdogs because they trade in their humanity for money. They either use science or some more esoteric means to transform themselves into superhuman monsters that compete in the Scumdog sports. So they're scum and dogs for doing it because they do it for money. They trade in their humanity for fame and fortune. You get the idea. Not exactly the nicest guys around, but what happens when they get banned from sports? Well, they decide to take over the universe. Here you see him fighting his archenemy, Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair. He's Now, Buick Starpoon is a parody on him and the rest of his team are parodies on G.I. Joe characters and stuff like that. He's mostly a Duke from G.I. Joe. But he's also a parody on the military hero kind of character, the soldier guy who never takes a no for an answer. He'll keep doing what he's doing, even though it's wrong, to the point where he will never admit that he is wrong. He's that arrogant and blows stuff up. But he's also a parody in the space opera hero kind of character, like Zap Brannigan or Captain Kirk from Star Trek, Buzz Lightyear, Buck Rogers, those kinds of heroes, especially if you notice his uniform. Anyone wearing a similar uniform to him is part of his team in the Space Forces. Buick Starpoon is arrogant, moron, military type of character. Now, the rest of his team, this guy over here with the mohawk, his name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that he's an army guy before he was anything else. Now he's part of Buick Starpoon's team. He's still an army guy. Here we have a guy down here known as Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's a Marine, just another Marine. Back here we have this guy in the red uniform driving that vehicle. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. Now, this cover is one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to look back when my Indiegogo goes live. So you have that to look forward to. Now, let's look at more of my art and characters. Here we have Girl Friday. She's another member of the Wild Rangers. That's the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. She was assigned to work under Buick Starpoon because while the Wild Rangers fight the Scumdogs and save the universe, they just, destroy stuff. Their idea of saving a town is basically burning it down. So to head off any criticism, her superiors made Girl Friday his second in command. And she hates him. She hates her job because she thinks her career in the military is over because she's basically just a babysitter. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me. It really helps me fight the algorithm so that more people can see my content. The more people that see my content means my graphic novel Scumdogs comes out to you all the sooner. And here we have Death Mug's henchmen. Because Death Mug is a parody on villains from 80s cartoons, that means he has henchmen. And these are my idiots. The blue guy with the top hat is Murdermouth. Pink guy, the pink thing down here is Sloppy. There are a couple of idiots that destroy everything in sight, but are going to be fun as hell to read about in my graphic novel Scumdogs, which I'm working on every day, folks. And when it's out, it's going to be on Indiegogo, so go back it. Here we have Hair Metal Doctor, who's basically a parody of Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe. He's another member of the Scumdogs. But unlike Dr. Mindbender, he's a mad scientist also who plays rock and roll, because I think that's awesome. He thinks of all the machines the Scumdogs use to try and take over the universe. That's Hair Metal Doctor. And here we have Miss Breasty Mullins, who's basically a parody on the Baroness from G.I. Joe. But unlike the Baroness, she's a party girl who only wants to have fun. She only became a villain just to have fun. Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup in the Miss Breasty Mullins pinup will be included with other pinups in my graphic novel when you back it on Indiegogo. But I will also get these pinups out to you on T-shirts for you to buy from Crypto Fashion as soon as I'm able to make them. Okay. Now we looked at my art and characters. Let's go over here. We're going to be talking about, people who are basically hiding evidence of UFOs and why they do it, folks. Having some fun. Hit that like button. Another UFO video and stuff like that. I did because a lot of great articles talking about this subject has come up. Why the Roswell UFO incident could prove to be the government's biggest nightmare ever. We're talking about Roswell as well tonight, folks. So we'll get right off to and look at this article. Maybe I should talk about the Roswell thing first off, just Roswell. But we are talking about that, Roswell and stuff, like give you context. It's also, I guess maybe I should also make this a Roswell video. So let's go over here. See this? Roswell, the enigma of the bodies and those who may have constructed them. Maybe. Mysterious notable UFO cases that happened before Roswell. Right. 3 reasons why aliens didn't crash at Roswell. Coffins, missing files, and a certain... the Roswell UFO affair, serious business. Human experiments for biological Roswell and beyond. Roswell, more reasons why aliens never fell to Earth. Let's see here. The Roswell affair, controversial experiment, not a UFO in sight. Connection. The Roswell affair, UFO affair, the men who knew about what really happened. Roswell. Maybe I should just go and share that original article first before I do anything else. This will get you an idea why I wanted to. Let's talk about this. There's no doubt, why the Roswell UFO incident could prove to be the government's biggest nightmare. Let's look at this. There's no doubt that the Roswell UFO crash of July 1947 is the most visible and talked about. Well, sure. Should I talk about this first, or should I show off some Indiegogos first? I should probably do that. A guide like the Romulus saga has made 58,232 in its first, and it's got 30 days left. Let's refresh this to make sure it's still got that. It's 104,163. Not bad. 10,000 years from now, galactic wars ended, and a new dark age has begun. Cyberfrog action figures made 381,000 with 110 with 2 days left. Nearly fully funded completely, folks. Nearly fully funded. No doubt this will be able to be fully funded in the next 2 days. And then it'll start working on some other stuff. Earthbound Part 2 has made 56,000 with 4 days left. Chrono Mechanics has made 58,163. Undead Book. Not bad. Amazing Comics has made 461. Fair Bitch has made over 62,000. That's also good. So a bunch of comics are doing very well. Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter has made 16,995. That's also good. A lot of them doing well, very well. By the way, folks, if you hit that like button, all right, we have 3 likes already. If you have not yet, folks, please hit that like button. It helps me fight the algorithm. As well as please go share this video. Yeah, please go hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. Right? Yeah. Make sure to hit that bell. So the more people that hit that bell means the more people are watching my content, means the sooner my graphic novel Scumdogs comes out. So hit that bell, as well as please go and hit that. Oh, did I completely screw that up? Oh, hit that like button. I mean, because the more people who hit that like button means more people are seeing my content. My graphic novel Scumdogs comes out to you all the sooner, as well as hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. And please go share this video on Twitter and Facebook. We looked at some Indiegogo. Should I take a few minutes to do this? Probably. This may be a bit longer. Cyberfrog action figures. These look good. You can back these. You can back most of these action figures for $40, which is not bad for the price because these action figures are top of the line. You get the modern Cyberfrog action figure for $40, the Heather Swan and 90s Cyberfrog action figure for $40, but the Vespid's action figure will cost you $75 because it's far bigger. Now, each time this campaign reaches a stretch goal, your action figure will be given far more stuff included with it. You'll get, when it reaches $450,000, your action figure will be given a stand to keep your action figure standing straight. And each other perk this campaign reaches will give you weapons and new accessories for your action figures. So yeah, that's pretty good. Now let's look at these updates. July 29th. We're now at 350,000 and still jumping. With 5 days left to go, we're almost there. We still need your help. Hey, everyone. Yeah, 381,000. Oh, yeah. Getting very close to there, aren't we, folks? Probably just needs another 20,000. Well, less than 20,000. And it'll be fully reached. The segment is palatable around here. We got a big boost of funding today, and we're now 88% funded. We can do this. Yeah, but now it's even more beyond that now. I'm making this campaign a little better. Some changes to our stretch goals to make your bonus items come quicker. Check the campaign out to see the changes. When you're funded 400,000, the modern Cyberfrog 90s action the 90s Cyberfrog, it will all include their honeycomb stands, 3 sets of hands, and an extra swap ahead. Extra stretch goals have been made easier to reach as I've adjusted the campaign plan for new ones. All right, let's check these out. Not bad. Let's go down here and check out these stretch goals. All right. At 500, let's give her a nasty big sting. All right. At 550,000, let's give our frog some firepower. 97 frog action figure. Includes a bunch of stuff and like that. Not bad. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, each of these action figures comes with a bunch of accessories, and they look good. Let's see. There's chrono mechanics. For anybody do anything else, so we'll get back to that article in a little bit. Here's chrono mechanics, which is still funding in demand. It's made 58,163. All good things must come to an end. So with it is being in demand, we will be closing the shop on July 1st. This campaign has been a wild and wonderful ride, and Pamela and I are so grateful to each of you for taking a trip outside of our day by backing this book. We hope you enjoy the reacting about the crazy adventures of Team 9.2 of Sector 7, the best repairman of all time. I really want to fund this campaign, but I have little money. Oh, well. Let's go over here. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah. Let's go look at this. The Roswell crash and why it's the biggest, why it's going to be hectic if anyone finds any evidence of it. Feel free to leave me a few chats, folks, because I want to hear your ideas on this. There's no doubt that the Roswell UFO crash of July 47 is the most visible and talked about incident of its type. It's a case that is noted for two important things that are relevant to today's article. Number one, the U.S. government has changed its views time and again on what happened. Yeah, happened outside the city of Roswell all those years ago. Number two, numerous civilians caught up in the maelstrom were treated, well, to death threats, treated death threats. The story was that a flying disc had come down. There was, however, a sudden retraction. It was all a big mistake. Nothing but a weather balloon hit the ground on the Foster Ranch, Lincoln Country, New Mexico. Lincoln Country. Screw up. That explanation stayed firmly in place until the early 1990s. That's when the U.S. Air Force changed its story. Apparently, the weather balloon was not a weather balloon. After all, it was a huge mogul balloon. Bianca fights the zombies. Aloha, Bianca fights the aloha, dude. Yeah. Aloha, Bianca fights the zombies. Thank you for checking in the Scumdog's Kennel. Tonight, we're talking about hidden evidence of UFOs, people hiding the stuff. And I wanted to read you this article here because it's very entertaining. Here we're telling how the U.S. government went around basically hiding as much evidence of Roswell as they could, but also went around for, well, decades threatening people to never talk about what happened. And make a mistake, nothing but a weather balloon hit the ground in Foster Ranch, Lincoln Country, New Mexico. Yeah. The Air Force, that's when the U.S. Air Force changed its story. Apparently, the weather balloon was not a weather balloon after all. It was a huge mogul balloon. Designed to monitor for detonations of early atomic weapons of the Soviet Union. The Air Force also in the 1990s made it clear that because mogul balloons didn't carry people, there couldn't have been any bodies, alien or human, at the crash site. Ready for another explanation? Yeah, there was one in 1997. The Air Force said that there were bodies of a sort of, at least after all, they were, the Air Force said, crash test dummies. That's a hell of a lot of different explanations for one solitary case. No wonder the Roswell affair causes a more than a few people to go, well, wonder what really happened. I read this. Yeah, this is an interesting article, isn't it? Even the U.S. media went what? When the government's crash test dummy report was reeled out and for one and all to see, particularly so because it was quickly shown by journalists that the dummy tests didn't even begin until the early 1950s. Never mind what was going on in 1947. I think that deserves a third. What? Yeah, what happened with it, huh? Feel free to leave me a few likes, folks. Or, yeah. Or sure, maybe I do this. Yeah, they were wondering what is going on with Roswell. It was just what? Or just wondering what was going on and just what. Now let's take a look at another angle, the Roswell mystery. Okay. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me. Well, yeah, it really helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content. My graphic novel Scumdogs comes out to you all the sooner. As well as hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. And please go share this video on Twitter and Facebook. All right. Let's look at this. The threats that were made to people involved in the immediate wake of the event. Its effect, there are literally dozens of people who back in 1947, when everything went crazy, a few days and nights were told not to talk about it, what they had seen as an ever, huh? We're talking about debris, strange foil-like materials, and even a small body scattered around, clearly damaged to a degree. There are claims that people had their lives threatened, stay silent or else. And we all know what or else means, right? Reportedly, those threats didn't end when the materials and bodies were scooped up. Some people were threatened for years, decades actually. There are reports of people in the Roswell area having had their phones tapped for ages, right up until the 90s, when they passed away. Of the key military figures in the story, such as Sheridan Cavett, Louis Reckett, were extremely careful about what they said to UFO researchers and what they didn't. Cavett particularly was very concerned about being tied to the matter of those bodies, whatever they may have been. And we're talking about decades after the whole thing was all over. Yet even in the 90s, Cavett and Reckett were still almost, well, basically making bricks when the Roswell affair, and particularly where the bodies popped up. But is it all over? That's where we get to the crux of today's story. If the government had the whole Roswell story carefully wrapped up in the secure Hangar 18 type scenario, there was not a single bit of solid evidence hidden away by people in the area. There would have been no need at all for the death threats. There would have been no need for endless phone surveillance. Why? Because the locals, the witnesses, rancher W.W. Mac Brazil, or Basil, W.W., rancher, huh? WW, would have had no evidence to make a case. That something strange really happened, and the government would have been safe knowing that everything was in a never-ending state of total lockdown. But just maybe the government isn't safe. Not a bit. Consider this: the government and the Air Force of today may have not have a collective handle on what happened back in 1947. Maybe more than a bit of debris still resides in the homes of relatives of the original witnesses and sitting there until someone decides to come forward and hand it over to the media. Perhaps there's much more than a bit of debris hidden away in some of the old ranchers of Lincoln's country, pieces of advanced technology, too, whether ours or theirs. Consider the following as a working scenario: that with all of the chaotic activity going on at the first ranch and its immediate surrounds, far more than what we know could have been quickly scooped up by local folk indeed. There is evidence that we have much was seen, touched and quickly stuffed in pockets before the military even had a chance to reach the area. Never mind close it down for a week. There's also the fascinating, of what happened with late D. Proctor in the later years when his mother was elderly and extremely ill. Proctor had seen just about everything there was to see on the legendary day. Something strange came down, chose to drive her to a part of the ranch about 2 miles from the primary site. When they arrived, D told his mom they were now at another site on the ranch where what was termed something else was found by rancher Brazel and the guy Proctor himself. Rancher, huh? The inference was that a body, or more than one body, was stumbled upon at the location. It was found before the military had the chance to get there first. And later, light of that, who really knows what went on in that period of chaos? There's also the matter of the significant number of files from the Roswell base dating from the 1940s to the 1950s that cannot be found anywhere. Even the Government Accountability Office admitted that when they went looking after the truth of Roswell, the files were nowhere in sight. Maybe some element of the government still has those voluminous files hidden away somewhere. What if, though, on Edward Snowden type character carefully and secretly was able to get his or her hands all of those potentially crucial 40s to 1950s era Roswell files, and in the process handed them over to someone in one day just might chose to come forward with the answers to the mystery? Possibly that's exactly what has happened. We're just waiting, patiently or not, for that person to reveal himself. We, the media, the Air Force, and the government just don't know it, but the government prays it never happens. No, I mean, I think something like this probably will happen. All right? What all of this just means is that in a situation that most people haven't thought of, the government failed to secure all of the materials and evidence found in the crash site. The result? Crucial data was circulating all around the place, and the military racing around like headless chickens were trying to get the whole thing wrapped up, but in the process failing miserably. In a strange situation, kids at the time, the area, like D. Proctor, they probably knew way more back then than any of us do now, even more than a lot of the military guys ordered to curtain the place against the threats. Knew less than D ever did. Many people might consider the finding of whatever it was that came from down on the first ranch as something amazing, but with a huge amounts of missing files and debris quickly picked up and hidden by the ranchers and locals who were way ahead of the military, you can easily see how and why for Air Force Roswell might become the U.S. government's biggest nightmare. I can easily see a scenario in which those governments today who are still tasked with keeping the truth about Roswell hidden are terrified, but not by what is hidden by them, but by what it just might be held in someone's old attic. Possibly something in an old rusty container buried 2 feet down on the fringes of an old ranch that one day might come to the surface, or something amazing under someone's floorboards. Floorboards. Sometimes that might come tumbling out in a way that the government will be completely unable to foresee, control, or confiscate, solely because of one reason: the government wasn't right on top of things. Pretty much, that's true right there. That's what I wanted to talk about with this article. Yeah, most likely, and I've wondered myself. Yeah, that people at Roswell probably did hide some of this stuff, bodies or technology. That if it was ours or theirs or whatever, probably did hide some of it. At least it took away, and the government probably would. It would make sense that the government would continue to harass them for it and try to get as much control over the situation as possible. But yeah, in situations like that, I've never believed it's really possible to basically control such information. So, what do you think about that, folks? It's interesting. Leave me a few chats and tell me what you think about that. Here we have this other article. Canadian company hiding 25 years of data on UFO sightings by pilots. Here's more evidence of people hiding evidence of UFOs and stuff like that. Now, we can also take a few minutes to talk about what we just saw. Very interesting. Well, maybe we'll get it here. Yeah, let's just. The U.S. government released to the public some data on UAP encounters reported by military personnel, commercial airline pilots, but most people believe the data cache is far larger and may never see the light of day, at least in the general public arena. Based on comments and frustrations expressed by current and former members of Congress, that body may not see it either. We know that Great Britain has been much more dedicated to collecting UFO data, but former insiders like Nick Pope expresses the damn frustration about friends to the Great White North. It turns out that they have a different problem, but the same frustrating results. What's the problem? Something Canada essentially has a discretionary power over the release of information about the system that makes it extraordinarily difficult for anyone seeking a greater understanding. In a detailed investigation, Shane Holman, an associate professor of journalism at Alberta's Mount Royal University and a researcher who focuses on Canada's freedom of information law, reveals why it's more difficult to obtain data on UFO encounters by commercial pilots in Canada. Its civil air navigation system. Civil navigation system, huh? Interesting. Okay, so we have a research that's focused on Canada's freedom of information laws. Yeah, so they have freedom of information laws. That's pretty good. Why it's more difficult to obtain data on UFO encounters by commercial pilots in Canada. Yeah, well, that's annoying, isn't it? Trying to basically know what happened, but no one will tell you anything. So it's very difficult to do that. So what do you think, folks? Any information that could be relevant to this case? Trying to think of a few ideas here. I mean, they're hiding the evidence of UFOs. A lot of governments do that. Why? Because they don't know. I think in reality, they really have no idea what these things are. They know that, or at least most of because the phenomenon covers more than just maybe spaceships. It covers other things as well. And they don't know how to really respond to this. Which is another thing to be given and stuff like that, I have to say. I mean, if you really think about it, the phenomenon covers so many different things. It's amazing. A lot of different things. That's very amazing as well. I have to wonder what is going on with that. Now, I'm trying to think here before I go on with this article. What other things to be said about this? Canada is hiding evidence of this. Why? It's Canada hiding evidence of UFOs. It's rather, I don't know, annoying. I mean, why would Canada care about that? I guess because maybe they could be threatened by other governments around the world. Basically, all governments have agreed to basically try and keep as much information on this as secretive as possible, even if they are enemies, at least on the surface, right? So there's another annoying factor to consider. Very, very annoying. But let's continue with this article. Air traffic controllers, flight service specialists, and technologists work for the privately run, corporation NAV Canada. And it was, it was established or whether it was created in 1966. It is paid by the Canadian government to run its air traffic control system, despite the government being its sole customer. The thing Canada under no obligation to submit to public scrutiny or respond to public requests for information. So that sounds like a good way for them to keep information on UFOs secret by basically having not be subject to anything, and that wouldn't do well for U.S. would it? We would definitely want to basically know their information, so we'd keep at it. But yeah, I can see why they'd set this up so they wouldn't have to answer any questions about it at all, would they? Huh. Let's go over here and see if you guys have hit that like button. Not bad, not bad. Let's go back over here and get this article back up. That doesn't mean Canadian UFO data doesn't exist. According to Vice, Canadian aviation regulations and procedures requires pilots over Canada to immediately alert air traffic controllers of objects that appear to be hostile, suspicious. And as I said before, folks, leave me a few chats. I want to hear your idea of people hiding evidence of UFOs. Unidentified or engaged in a possible, let's get back to this article. Unidentified or engaged in possible illegal smuggling, and a file of communications instructions for reporting vital intelligence sightings. Report when it receives a service. Nav Canada receives a service when it does that. Typically informs the Royal Canadian Air Forces Aerospace Control and Warning Square in North Bay, Ontario, which works with NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Command. 21 Aerospace also filed a report to Transport Canada, the Federal Transportation Department that means the military and the government has files on commercial pilot UFO sightings. And then UFO sightings. Despite these notifications, there's no indication this little business here, Transport Canada, or any branch of the Canadian Armed Forces, investigates UFOs outside of initial security assessment. That is, as soon as it's been determined a UFO isn't something like a Russian fighter jet or a plane of drugs. Canadian interest seems to officially end. Nothing UFO investigators know that the Civil Aviation Daily Occurrence Report System maintains for the public a digital airline incidents and contains more than 2 decades of UFO reports from airlines. Unfortunately, the data is basically preliminary and not the final report. Besides, it doesn't appear that UFO reports are investigated anyway. This isn't an era of conspiracy theories and X-Files anymore. This isn't an era of conspiracy theories. Public should have a right to know. Sheen Holman doesn't study UFOs. It shows this is definitely an era of conspiracy theory. This is definitely an area. We'd have disclosure in UFOs if it's to say we don't know about more incidents than just a few in the recent U.S. government report to Vice for exposing this Canadian UFO data problem. Perhaps what Canada needs are some rebel-rousing podcasters like some down here, or some late-night talk show hosts to have this company and executives on its guests and taunt them into spilling the beans. Maybe we read this article here, people hiding evidence of UFOs, folks. Let me go over here. I just want to see something. If there's any thing. Let me do this. Let me get it right to you. Let me go down here. I just want to make sure there's. I'm just going to see if there is any stuff on UFOs over here. Okay. Maybe go over here. Let me do this. People hiding UFOs. Let's see if I can get some more data on this, huh? A few more articles. Majority of Americans believe in aliens, and the government is hiding the truth. There's that too. I think conspiracy of UFOs and high strangeness at a secret military base in Australia. the space shuttle UFOs and the mysterious ST-75 incidents. Well, let me go over to here. Let's see this. The STS-75 incident. Ever since we have been ventured off into our world, into space, we have uncovered various, secrets and shed light on how the universe works. Well, it has been a great time of scientific discovery, and we have made great strides in pushing out into the vast solar system which once just flickers within our imagination. Yet, for all that we have covered, all of the questions we have answered, there have been perhaps even more questions and mysteries posed. Some of the stranger, those are the myriad mysteries, aliens beyond our understanding, lurking in the background of those space travel czars, with all manner of unusual claims made by astronauts or amateur space watchers. One odd incident concerning this is a claim to have happened during a fateful space shuttle mission, during which, according to some, aliens crashed the party and ruined everything. On February 25th, 1996, Space Shuttle Columbia was engaged with mission STS-75, 75th Space Transportation System. Mission flown by NASA's 4 space shuttles, the 15-day mission had the primary objective of deploying the tethered satellite system reflight TSS-1R experiment, which entailed using a joint NASA-Italian tethered satellite system in order to harness a new source of spacecraft power by utilizing a special electrodynamic tether system to collect power within the electrically charged ionosphere. The idea was that the cables would conduct electricity from the ionosphere and convert it into power, thus paving the way to cheap energy sources for satellites, space stations, and spacecraft. In order to achieve this, plan was to deploy satellites in 20.7 kilometers, 12.9 tether, and then measure how much current could be gathered, as well as monitor the physics of the tether's movements and various other factors. It was meant to be a fairly groundbreaking mission, but something would go wrong. Over a period of 5 hours, the astronauts carefully reeled the satellite on its thin tether length of 19 kilometers, after which they had only 1 kilometer to go before they planned to stop it, began their experiment. However, as the shocked 7-man crew of the Columbia looked on, tether began to ripple before finally snapping to send a long portion of it, as well as the satellite attached to it, drifting off into space. Although a lot of data had still been gained from the mission, the loss of the satellite and their tether was a crushing blow and launched an extensive investigation of the incident. According to NASA, the reason would be found to have been a weakening of the cable due to pinholes in the insulated cover of the tether, which had allowed air trapped beneath this to seep out into space, and these air bubbles were then transformed to plasma from the roughly 3,500 to 5,000 volts of power coursing along it. This in turn causes local explosive electrical discharge from the copper wire in the tether to a nearby electrical ground, causing the cable to snap. However, this official view would be challenged. During the unfortunate incident, astronauts had filmed the whole thing, and as soon as the video became available to the public, the whole thing, filmed the whole thing. Yeah, I think I remember this. This is about how basically this tether basically got surrounded by what looked like alien things, alien craft, or basically looking like almost like it was basically basically it was like looked like space around the tether, and this thing that was supposed to gather electrical energy looked more like something that you'd see down in the ocean, because it was basically around it were these things that looked like kelpie or what's the word, what's the word for the stuff, the microorganisms that exist in ocean water and stuff. They saw these things that look these literal flying little things flowing around this the tether. It looked like a sea life, or rather microbial life. It's almost, they looked like UFOs, but they also looked like they could be living organisms, and no one really knew what to deal with it. I think this sounds a lot like that. But let's get back to this. People started noticing something very odd about it. The video footage shows what appears to be a series of bright spots or lights whizzing about the area, in particular seeming to swarm around the tether. Those who saw this quickly came to the conclusion that these were UFOs, and stated that obviously these UFOs had been attached to the tether. See, we again find a story of UFOs basically being covered up. How the official story about what happened was that the tether just basically snapped and stuff like that, and no mention of these things basically swarming it or basically covering it and stuff. Those who saw this UFOs, that obviously these UFOs had been attracted to the tether for some reason, and it caused it to break. The object became even more pronounced when enhanced videos began circulating not long after the original footage was released. Still other far out theories emerged as well, such as the claim that there were not UFOs, but rather some sort of life form living in space, atmospheric beasts. A sort of space amoeba or sorts. These creatures are theorized as living in the void and feeding off of space debris or electrical energy, and it's just about as weird as it sounds. The secrets of the universe explained of these hypothetical occurrences, the relation to the tether incident. They exist in a spectrum, not visible to the naked eye under normal conditions. They appear to be totally harmless, feeding off electrical or other energy. Yet, if you look closely at the footage, you will observe them increasing in brightness in their electrical storms. With this in mind, it is not in the least surprising to find them swarming around the electrodynamics tether, which is NASA's attempt to harness energy that they feed on. It is all very entertaining, but as soon as these, as I said, they saw these things that looked like microorganisms, basically swarming it, this tethered stuff that had copper wiring in it, and meant to basically gather energy that these things feed on. So yeah, that's very weird to think about, isn't it, folks? By the way, folks, hit that like button for me, will you? It really helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content, as well as so my graphic novel Scumdogs comes out to you all the sooner, as well as hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. And please go share this video on Facebook and on Twitter and Facebook and Gab. It was all very. Let's get back to this article. Yeah, let's get back to it. It's all very entertaining, but as soon as these conspiracy theories began making the rounds, NASA the astronauts who had actually been on the mission were quick to dismiss the possibility that these were aliens of any kind. It was all explained by astronaut Franklin as a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us, meaning ice crystals and other miscellaneous tiny objects that fly along with the shuttle in the weightlessness of space. And just in this, a water dump from the shuttle, which is completely normal and routine procedure, had been carried out not long before the experiment began, meaning that there were more of this debris surrounding the shuttle than usual. It is perfectly harmless, and the particles are minuscule, but when illuminated by the sun, compounded by the effects of the camera's image intensifier circuit, which is known to distort bright objects, the objects seem to much larger, more robust, and brighter in the video footage than they really are. The telephoto lens of the camera is also used with a circular mirror, but has a hole in the middle, which can leave an artifact in the images. One of the astronauts, Tom Jones, a lengthy statement, but it isn't trying to clear up the confusion, also dispelled the idea NASA was hiding evidence of aliens in any way, he told Smithsonian Air and Space magazine. All right. Maybe not. Do you think they're actually hiding evidence of this? I kind of disbelieve this guy's statement. It sounds like they're just trying to hide stuff. Much like the evidence of Roswell, they can't basically hold all of this information, no matter what they did. After all, they released the video to the public. So there's that to consider as well. So they probably have, Bob Rogers was sunburned. I had footage of UFOs. No one was interested in seeing it. I'm interested in seeing it. Send it to me, Bob Rogers. I'll love to see it on my channel. Let me tell you this: if you do have evidence of UFOs, basically, let me go to my profile. Send it to my Twitter channel at 777 megachris1 right here. Huh? If you have it, send it to me. I'd love to basically have it on my show. Little Miss Sunburn. And thanks for another chat. Let me go over here. Yeah, I mean, really, thanks for the other chat. Let me do this. Oops. Let's screw that up there. Yeah. That get that right there. If you have it, just send it to at 777 megachris1. Let's say that again. Let's get back to this article. Yeah, the NASA definitely hides evidence and stuff like that. Astronauts have not seen any evidence alien life reports. Well, evidence alien life. Next time, I just delete the stuff, but I will keep it and post it next time. Thank you, Bob Rogers. The space shuttle stations have turned out to be ice crystals, drifting orbital debris, lightning flashes of meteors striking through the dark atmosphere below. So far out search for extraterrestrial life and other civilizations in space has turned up no proof of alien civilizations. I was on the shuttle Columbia, STS, and, well, and even made a big entry. Did UFOs visit the shuttle Columbia? Because when we came back from the mission in 1996, NASA got several queries from people who were watching the video, NASA TV back then, and said, hey, we saw spaceships on the shuttle video. What's NASA got to say about that? I looked at the video and said, oh, I know what this is. Just ice crystals floating along beside the ship for the first couple of days of the flight. What looked to some people like a spaceship streaking across the star field was to us looking out the window a complete non-evident, and yet it was very significant to people who were watching. Certainly nothing in the way of spaceships. Now, where Bob Rogers, invest in an infrared camera. They're only $200. I might have to do that. Yeah, I'll probably do that. Bob Rogers lives in the sunburn. That there have been a couple of astronauts in the past who have spoken out and said that they know from other people that there's evidence of UFOs and spaceships that have visited Earth, that the government might be withholding, that they all seem to be secondhand, or they seem to be signs of things they've seen in orbit that perhaps they could explain at the time. And that's where the story seems to peter out. Also curious is that the NASA made no mention at all of any such objects surrounding the shuttle or the tether, any of their mission reports, and it seems as though perhaps this really was a mundane occurrence. Yet conspiracy theories are not quick to die, and there are certainly those who do not buy the official statements for them. This is all a cover-up effort for NASA to spread disinformation and bury the truth. Such theories point to a constant perceived opaqueness of NASA and the numerous times the agency has feed the cameras up to science with for something odd. NASA up to something, or they are really strange forces at work up there? Space, what really happened during STS-75 incident? Was this just a misidentified ice crystals or something else? Amazingly enough, it is still being debated. If anything, it shows that there are plenty of mysteries that are being generated by being in the space, whether real or, well, rather, who knows? Most certainly, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, them basically trying to. I've heard of this incident. Yeah, are they basically saying that they're trying to hide it? NASA debunks Ezekiel's wheel UFO. Is it hiding something? Ezekiel's wheel. Yeah, might have to look at this one as well. There probably no book of the Bible that annoys NASA more than the book of Ezekiel. That's the one with the flying chariot, a wheel within a wheel, has come to be known as Ezekiel's Wheel, is the book which is struck like a glue to Erich von Däniken, the theory that of ancient aliens, both of which inspired NASA engineer Joseph F. Blumrich. Ooh, another chat. Have you checked out Marvel from Little Miss Bunsen? Have you checked Marvel Whiteside Parsons, aka Jack Parsons, the founder of Jet Propulsion Laboratories, JPL? Ooh, Jack Parsons, that guy was a witch. I might have to check out Jack Parsons tomorrow, or maybe in a few minutes. Just a moment. Let me read this. Maybe I should do that now. Let's go look at Jack Parsons here. Let's get his name up. Let's see. Jack Parsons. Thanks for bringing him up. Let's see about this guy. Bringing some up information. Rocket legend Jack Parsons still lives in a strange way. Creating life using magic. The legendary Jack Parsons. Let's look at this. Much has been said and written about the legendary rocket pioneer Jack Parsons. His birth in 1914, Parsons was given the memorable and unusual name Marvel Whiteside Parsons. Had a truly extraordinary life and indebted because he didn't hide nothing. Ah, thank you, Miss Little Sunburn. Let's read more about him. Parsons, Whiteside Parsons, and has a truly extraordinary life. Endowed genius, he indirectly led NASA to send the Apollo astronauts to the moon 69. Moreover, the Ariel Corporation, which Parsons personally founded, today produces a solid fuel rocket boosters for the space shuttle that are based on Parsons' very own decades old. Oh, another chat. Tony Stark's dad. Sounds like it. Very own decades old for his accomplishments. A large crater on the far side of the moon is named, well, a large crater on accomplishments. A large crater on the far side of the moon was named in his honor. Each and every year, on Halloween, no less, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory holds an open house memorial complete with mannequins of Jack Parsons' early cohorts, known as Nativity Day, and within the aerospace community, there is a long-standing joke that JPL actually stands for Jack Parsons Laboratory, or Jack Parsons Lives. As Vice notes, Parsons joined Thelma, the occult movement founded by British occultists. Look at his picture. Is there a picture of him? Let me look at this on this. I was going to read this article. I guess I can take a moment to get over here. Jack Parsons, Secret in Files. Here's here's a picture of Jack Parsons. Yeah, it looks like him, doesn't it? Looks like Tony Stark. Jack Parsons, Secrets and Files. Let me finish this article we were reading, though. All right, let me get down here. Let's see. Jack Parsons, I'm sure. British occultist Aleister Crowley joined his movement. British occultist Aleister Crowley, and took over the movement's California branch. Scientology founder J.L. Ron Hubbard in Parsons' home for a time. Yeah, basically, Ron Hubbard lived in Parsons' home and slept with his wife. Parsons attempted to repeatedly use sex magic to summon various deities to the plane, all while continuing to work as a rocket scientist. Yeah. Rob Rogers, yes. November 2nd, 1950, a California-based special agent, the FBI, prepared to report on the actions of Jack. November 2nd, 1950, California-based special agents, FBI, prepared to report on the actions Jack Parsons that stated in part subject on September 15, 1950, removed certain documents pertaining to jet propulsion motors, rocket propellants. Yeah. He's also the guy, I think, with Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard might have summoned aliens to Earth and stuff like that. People say that. Yeah. But let's get back to this. Pertaining to jet propulsion motors without authority from, they removed these jet propulsion motors and stuff without authority from Hughes Aircraft Company, Culver City, California, his place of employment, which had been his place of employment, ever since May 8th, 1949. Then on September 25th, after the documents in question had been retrieved, the authorities, they were duly handed over to Air Force Major E. Krenz, after which the FBI recorded Parsons voluntarily came to the Los Angeles office September 27th, 1950, and a signed statement admitted to removing documents without authority, stating he desired to extract certain information from them as an aid in computing the cost of proposal on jet propulsion motors. He planned to submit this with an employment application through an American Technician Society for employment in the country of Israel. In another country, huh? Dude, that's horrible. It wasn't any of our enemies, but basically using information to basically get employment in another country on this kind of stuff. That's horrible. Whether apology was genuine or not was simply a groveling attempt to try to avoid serious problems with authorities. And charges that he was secretly engaged in espionage operations for Israel. Parsons certainly obfuscated facts and played down his ongoing involvement in matters in occult nature. Interviewed by the FBI on September 28th, he said that he'd had several relations with the dark world that had dominated his early years, described himself as being an individualist, according to the interviewing special agent. His report we came to one of the strangest aspects of a person's life revolves around, well, less than the creation of life. Yeah, he wants to make the creation of life. Filmmaker and actress Renee Dukes, who was in, well, Renee Dukes, who was an acquaintance of Major Elizabeth Cameron, said in Nat Friedland's The Occult Explosion, I have every reason to believe that Chuck Parsons was working on some very strange experiments, trying to create what the old academics call a homunculus, a tiny artificial man. All right. Ancient alchemists said that these things had magic powers and had several methods to bringing these diminutive humanoids to life. Do you like Stanley Kubrick? Kubrick is a great filmmaker, but he was also could have been contacted by NASA to with his movies to basically try and bury or basically make sure they controlled information on UFOs. They say that he basically helped them make sure that the Apollo landings were faked, which might be true or not, but it looks like the Apollo landings actually happened. But he had helped basically during the Apollo landings hiding evidence of aliens, but basically helping the people at NASA, look over the film and make sure to remove anything where there was something to do with UFOs. Ancient alchemists had several methods of bringing these diminutive humanoids, making them. So one involved the mandrake, popular centuries. Here's another true. Centuries-old belief holds that the mandrake plant grew on ground where people ejaculated by a hanged man had fallen to earth. Well, where a hanged man ejaculated had fallen to earth. Or hanged man, huh? And as a result, its roots resemble those of a human being. To ensure a successful creation, the homunculus root is to be picked before dawn on Friday morning. But you have to get a black dog to do it, then washed and nourished with milk and honey, and in some prescriptions, blood, whereupon it develops into a miniature human that will guard and protect its owner. Another method cited by David Trenchnes at the University of Glasgow during the 18th century was to take an egg laid by a black hen, poke a tiny hole through its shell, replace a bean-sized portion of the egg with human semen, seal the opening with virgin parchment, and bury the egg in dung on the first day of the March lunar cycle. The ancient teachings suggested that a miniature humanoid would emerge from the egg after 30 days and in return help and protect its creator for a steady diet of lavender seeds and earthworms. Whether or not Parsons really did create life, the fact that his life would soon be over, Gina DeMuro, as this woman states, over June 17th, 52, Jack Parsons was working on explosives for a film project, his home laboratory, when an unplanned detonation destroyed the lab and killed him. The 37-year-old was found with broken bones, missing right forearm, and half of his face nearly ripped off. According to accident or murder at the hands of the government agents, there's a question still debated by researchers. I think Parsons a bounty. I think there's a bounty on my head. I have to avoid Boba Fett. Thank you, Bob Rogers. A bounty on your head, huh? To avoid, and you have to avoid, and you have to basically get away from Boba Fett, huh? Okay, that sounds good. You can see there basically people have hidden evidence of UFOs, folks. We don't really know what they really are. We know they exist. So we've looked at that tonight. Now, folks, I'm going to have to end this live stream, but thank you all for joining me. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. The there is misspelled, it's THERE. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that like button because it helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content, and my graphic novel Scumdogs comes out to you all the sooner. As well as hit that bell to make sure to hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications, as well as leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Please go and share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Let's see, yeah. As well as please go over and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks. Stitch Together Picks is a YouTube channel that deserves far more subscribers. He does some great content Oh, another chat from Bob Rogers. I'm force sensitive. What do you think? You could be, little Bob Rogers. You could be. Remember, folks, go and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks. It's hosted by the Maniacal Cinephile, and you're going to love his reviews of movies, as well as go over and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He does live streams every night. He does little videos talking about high strangeness, but he also does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 10 o'clock p.m. He talks about aliens and ghosts, and you learn so much. As well, remember, folks, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock p.m. for another live stream, so be sure to come back again then. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kill